Welcome in to the Formula Sim Esports Cup presented by Brightspeed Fiber Internet, the racing challenge where high school students compete in F124, explore sim careers, all while competing to win $5,000 in scholarship and prizes. In the booth with me, as always, we've got DJ and Lane X DJ. We have to wrap up an incredible regular season here tonight.
I think incredible is an understatement. It's been chaotic, it's been unpredictable, but yes, the action has been absolutely incredible. It's a pleasure to be here and wrap up the regular season.
Lane, you're looking good, buddy, for this last day of the regular season. How you feeling?
Thanks, man. Gentle words. I'm feeling amazing to wrap this regular season. Indeed, it was a fantastic journey along with you guys, learning from the drivers, and today we're going to have a very unique, peculiar, and interesting, along with challenging GP, to be fair.
And, of course, we want to thank Brightspeed Fiber Internet, as always, because the new Brightspeed Fiber Internet is here, and it's the ultra-fast internet you've been waiting for. Now everyone in your home can stream, they can game, and do more, all at the same time. Brightspeed technicians ensure your fiber internet works all over your house, so you can too. No more searching for that one spot in the house to take your video call. Don't settle for slow and unreliable anymore. Switch to Brightspeed today at go.staypluggedin.gg/BrightspeedApril. Again, that's go.staypluggedin.gg/BrightspeedApril. Or type !Brightspeed in the chat to bring up that info as well. Limited available in selected areas. Well, TJ, I got to say, this has been quite the format this season, being able to just launch into the first season of this. Go ahead and break it down, what we've been seeing throughout the rest of the season.
Oh, man, where do I even start? Like, do we just want to directly hop into the format? Like, you just gave me a loaded question here, Bear.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. Throw up the format graphic. Let's get right
in.
into it. So we have been here for almost 8 weeks. We're slowly approaching the end of the road, but we started with preseason. We had a banger preseason race that set the pace for the rest of the season. Every single week has delivered something new. The tracks have delivered plenty of drama. The drivers have delivered plenty of rivalry, and you can see here that the format tends to match that theme. We always have one GP that normally takes 2 qualifying lobbies to get to. I do believe today we only have 1 qualifying lobby, just like last week, with 18 drivers in total, so we will get to push them all through a major qualifying session. It'll be about 18 minutes time, and then we'll hop directly into the GP Bear.
Directly into the GP, like I tossed you directly into the format, I'll tell you that. But Lane, then we've got the playoff qualification, which happens next week, the championship. So break it down. There's 40 can qualify for the finals here, but break down the rest of it. How do the rest of the drivers get in?
Well, it's going to be their last chance today, right, to reach that playoffs phase. As we know, the top 3 finishes today are going to have that chance, plus all the drivers who accumulated points so far at this point. So if you are one of those drivers, you're going to bring your confidence, bring your quality, and seize one of the positions. As we know, the championship has been amazing, has been fantastic. We have been seeing some drivers stepping up, showing their qualities, some new comers as well, rookies, and today is a matter of checking who or which drivers are going to be together moving into the playoffs again.
No doubt about it. And of course, you earn points over the course of the season, like you mentioned. So we'll see the breakdown of those points here in just a moment because, you get the podium or you get these points earned. And a lot of these drivers have been here week after week earning those points. That's why it pays to show up at the end of the day. So that's what these players have been looking to do. These high school students who have been learning about STEM careers in addition to that. And a big thank you goes out, by the way, to all of the Stay Plugged In crew members as well. The core crew here at Stay Plugged In, the tight, beautiful tournament organizing, the beautiful broadcast you've seen and experienced all year long, made possible by the hardworking team members at Stay Plugged In. So we would say join the Stay Plugged In platform for free. You can do that at staypluggedin.com, by the way. So it's authentically one of the best ways to get discovered by a college if you're looking to play and compete at that level. DJ TJ, you've actually experienced that firsthand.
2 times, surprisingly. Maybe 1 extra than the average high school student. I got to go through it as a high schooler. Then now I went back through it this past 4-month period, and I'm actually signing in a few weeks. So I got a lot of thanks for Stay Plugged In as well. Not to mention that I'm actually here doing this with you, Bear. So yeah, no, I mean, it's a beautiful program. It's the premier program across the nation. If you want to get your student, or if you are a student watching this, if you want to get yourself in front of colleges, you've got to check out Stay Plugged In. Also, Stay Plugged In Platinum as well.
That's right, and you can do that at staypluggedin.com. Again, it's a free account that you can sign up for and start connecting with colleges today. See that and create your college interest list. So that way you can really reference what Stay Plugged In does and how to compete at that next level, who's giving out scholarships, all of the above as well. So again, that's staypluggedin.com, which also has events, by the way. And we've got one coming up this Saturday and Sunday. So this full weekend packed of Stay Plugged In showcases, starting with Saturday with Rocket League and Overwatch 2. DJ TJ just smiled when I said Rocket League there, and actually so did Lane. He's got some cast experience there from Rocket League as well, but that'll be coming at you again. Like we said, the 10th is Rocket League Overwatch 2, and then on Sunday it's Valorant and Smash Ultimate. Lane, you've gotten to witness these firsthand and what this experience, what the broadcast, and what the recruiting piece is all about there.
It's amazing. It's an amazing opportunity, again, to seize those spots through Stay Plugged In's work. And yes, 4 game titles here. They are amazing. We've seen a lot of narratives, a lot of interesting battles and fights in the past months and weeks. And I have myself, for instance, casted Rocket League and Overwatch 2. So definitely it's going to be great, again, to see this showcase happening.
StayPluggedIn.com/events is how you can get registered. You only have a couple days left, so make sure you go ahead and open that tab up. Don't wait, don't delay. Get into the action. Well, we've got, of course, a STEM job here. We've been able to go through 6 of them already. This last week we went through one that we're familiar with, casting at the end of the day, boys. So that was pretty easy to talk about, TJ.
Yeah, we took a look in the mirror for the sports commentator job, which is something that we mentioned last week. It's very hard to get into, but you yourself could be in these chairs that we're in right now. Granted, you may not need a fancy green screen like Lane has, or some nice lights behind you like Bear has. You might just be in an apartment like me, but sports commentary can span across esports, it can span across traditional sports, and you can get started directly at your high school. So I'm glad we got to touch on that field. But Bear, the field we get to talk about this week is definitely one of one out of what we got to talk about throughout the entire esports Esports series.
That's right. The physiotherapist is who we talk about, a very intricate piece of the team, and really works one-on-one. Each team has about 1 or 2 of these, by the way, and they make sure that everybody, the crew, the staff, the traveling crew, and obviously the racer as well, because we know the racing conditions can be pretty brutal, being in that race car for an extended period of time, making sure that they're up to date, making sure they're healthy, even meal plans and things like that. Lane, at the end of the day, you need somebody there to represent you and make sure you're healthy after injuries and things like that.
You absolutely do need, because as we know, downforce, a lot of pressures on the driver's body especially, so they also need that recovery, right? We know that the cars need pit stops to keep running, but the drivers also do need some pit stop, physically speaking too, and physiotherapists are gonna be that professional to help you out on that short time of recovery you got from one GP to the next one. Now, it's a very interesting field again, and you should go for, obviously, biological, chemistry, sciences, math, psychology. There's a lot of possibilities to hop into a physiotherapist field as a work spot over here, also in racing, but not only.
Yeah, I mean, degrees in physiotherapy, for example, sports science, exercise psychology are options that you can go for. Obviously, we tossed up a couple. USC and Florida would be 2 good considerations there. And hands-on experience also helps there, because, TJ, at the end of the day, when there's 1 or 2 per race team, you got to make sure you make the most out of your internships and entry-level jobs, man.
If you have not looked at what it takes to become a Formula driver, the physiotherapists lead that grind. They lead that dedication to the sport that you never get to see in front of cameras normally. I can name probably a few hundred videos that McLaren loves to put out about how they train their racers. They always love to use this kind of weighted neck brace that they use to simulate G-force. Physiotherapy is a very diverse field. You don't think of simulating G-force as something in that field, but any PT field is a great one to be a part of. My fiance studies PT. It's a great field to be in, regardless if you're in racing or not.
That's fantastic. I didn't know that about you. We're learning something every day about the staff here, TJ. Appreciate you sharing that with us. Let's get into last week's action as we wrap up the regular season. We've seen 5 weeks already. It was No Need Dude that took the top spot this time around, Lane.
Yes, he absolutely emerged. He didn't play at the preseason, to be fair, but after that, I mean, he has been such a force. We have been emphasizing his qualities all over the season, and indeed, he took ahead the legacy that, for instance, Top Racing got to himself, or brought himself up to here in the season. Now, not only him has been such a fantastic driver, but we got also amazing drivers after him, as we can see Joseph, Squeaky Hardware, we have Illegal Monkey, Top Racing again. So these guys are going to be also performing at their peak today. That's what we're hoping for, at least with that battle. That very battle between P3 and P4, as we can see, Squeaky Hardware versus Illegal Monkey potentially again.
That's right. Dylan Driver also making their first appearance there in that 7th spot as well, TJ. 24K King has had some top 3 finishes, has been up in the race, but has kind of fallen off a little bit. So hopefully we see a little bit more from him. Anybody else standing out for you?
The biggest story is easily Top Racing sitting at P5. Didn't have a bad qualifying, was sat up in P2 comfortably based off the qualifying times, but as the race went on, it was the first time all season that Top Racing hasn't had pace, which is a wild statement that I can't believe I even have to say out loud. So for No Need Dude, that story is the easiest on the grid. They have been extremely consistent. They are the championship leader. They are the race win leader, and Top Racing only 1 GP behind in that stat, but it's odd to see, not to mention, obviously, that our top 12, top 13 has been very fun to watch. Shakai had a tough fall from grace after the previous race, but in Silverstone couldn't find pace either. Mao and Saturn have had their fair ups and downs, and also 3 DNFs, but, I mean, that was pretty expected based on how every week has gone, other than Mile Proto. Did not expect that DNF after really somebody who started to find their own on the track.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I mean, the only Canadian here in competition, and was really finding their stride as of late, and certainly they fell off. I thought Mao had a couple of good weeks back-to-back, so unfortunate to see him drop off as well. But what does it mean in terms of points? Well, let's go ahead and check out the standings right now and see where we find ourselves as we gear into the championship week next week. As you see the top standing 8 being able to get in, James there as well, but Joseph actually making the list finally. I mean, he's been in the top 5 in points there, TJ as well, but finally got his bid with a podium win.
It was about time that Joseph not only got a podium, and stayed in a podium place, but then continued to clinch a playoff spot. This was a long-awaited win, and I mentioned it, or not race win, but overall win, and I mentioned it last week as well. Out of the top 8, this right here, I will say without a shred of doubt, is our top 8 racers. I think you can make the argument that Siegel can prove that point wrong and can find their way up into maybe the top 5 this race. I mean, Suzuka's a very tough track. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but I love this top 8, and for the playoffs as well, this is the top 8 to look at.
And then rounding out the top 20 here, we'll look through the rest of these. Dylan Driver, of course, showed up last week, so that's why he might be at the very bottom here. So pay no mind there. 7th place isn't too bad last week, but Mile Proto on that list at number 12. Nico Biko, we haven't talked about yet, at 11. So, I mean, when they were a rookie, as Lane would put it, right, their first week was, their debut was pretty good. But since then, it's been a little bit of a slide there, and obviously started a little bit later in the season, so that's why they're kind of down on points. So being them a sleeper in my eyes, Lane, would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I think Nico, like you posted, made a very, very good surprise when he premiered in the season into Monza, but then since Brazil, especially Brazil and Spa GP, were not so ideal for him. But then a slight, glimpse of recovery, especially last week with the P8 in the end of the day. Nico could be one of the contenders today for the playoffs. Obviously, he's already there, but I mean, trying to get ahead of himself and, showing that quality and reaching the leading pack. But I would say not only both of the guys that TJ already mentioned could be doing a good job today, meaning Mao and Reinforced Segel, but also Saturn, and also Mile Proto. So these 2 guys could be stealing the stage here somehow.
All right, well, sunny and dry conditions today for the Japanese GP as we take and tackle their toughest test yet. The Suzuka circuit here today, boys. It's going to be a tough one. Back in 1962, it was Soichiro Honda, whose car company you may have heard of, looked to turn Honda into an automobile powerhouse, decided his company should have its own test track, and that's how we got Suzuka. So naturally, that's why you see all these bends, these curves. It's to test those cars at the end of the day, and TJ, their toughest test yet is an understatement here.
When a test track becomes a formula circuit, normally it's one that is very dependable, very steady. We reference Austria, which we saw earlier in the season. Honda threw all of that out the window and said, good luck. Look at this track. It is as close to Spaghetti Junction in the middle of Atlanta as I can possibly reference. Not to mention that it's one of the only tracks where parts of the track cross over one another. Yeah. It is a mess of a track, but if you watched how this race went in the actual Formula 1 series just about a month ago today, there was a lot of time and a lot of speed you could find in places you would never guess, Bear.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of those places, Lane, you've got the hairpin, turn 11. You've got the chicane, 16, 17. You've got the entire snake from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, right? Being able to hit those back to back to back, incredibly important. What do you eyeball here? What are some of the places, focal points for you as a driver?
Well, to begin with, TJ used the spaghetti image. I'm going to use another one, which kind of aligns with my formation in geography, international affairs. Anyways, I do see, guys, I don't know if you realize that as well, but I see the Japanese territory here in a way, right? If you flip it horizontally, you kind of have the Japanese territory in this GP. I'm kidding, but it's a very twisted one, indeed, tricky, challenging. It's going to be great to see the amount of challenges these drivers are going to be facing, like you posed, Bear, because, we have just one DRS zone, but then we also got another very long straight from turn 14 to 15, but we do have a lot of interesting sets of turns as well, the snaking asses. We also got, interesting situations in the hairpin, in the spoon, so we're going to be talking about these elements in a little while.
TJ, there's one also DRS zone here, so that could be a focal point too. What are you looking at?
Well, it's also one of the only DRS zones on the calendar here in our Formula Semi Sports Cup that bends. So, yes, you get a speed boost with the DRS. Yes, you get to trail cars closely in said DRS zone. But not only do you have to make a blind turn around turn 15, but then you have to continue to slam on the brakes at turn 16. It's a tough one at that. And not even to mention, first of all, turns 2 through 7, Just why? Like, what? Why is there a snake on the track? It's very confusing, but it's very fun to watch as well. For those of you who did get, again, watch the actual Formula race this year, you'll notice that Sector 2 is one of the biggest focal points of contention. As confusing as Sector 1 may be, you kind of get away with using that long straight on the back half. Sorry, I misspoke. The DRS zone is on the back half. The DRS detection zone is around the bend. So that'll be important for timing, but we'll talk about that later. Sector 2 is a point where, yes, turn 11, you do have to slam. Yes, you do have to make a very tough adjustment on your tires, but if you can learn to carry speed going wide at 11, bringing it into 12 and 13, you can almost take that entire section of Sector 2 flat out or barely shifting gears. I expect drivers like Noni Dude, like Top Racing, to showcase pure expertise in that section of the race. And then Sector 3 is about as easy as it gets, as long as you don't slam yourself into the wall.
Yeah, 100%. That should gain. We'll throw a lot of the drivers off, but then you finally get to that final bend, and you're like, wow, I somehow made it around this beast of a track. You brought up Sector 2, and I want to continue with that because you mentioned the test session as well. So we had Ryan Vargas, the professional NASCAR driver, back with us this past Thursday. And in that, he's had similar things to say, right? He said in turn 16, you got to be very cautious on that throttle. It's very tempting to get behind on steering, to get to the gas too quickly, and you can really spin out. Sorry, that's 16, so that's Sector 3. But back in Sector 2, the exit to turn 13 and ensuring a clean turn 14, you got to make sure that that's clean, so that way that backstretch, when you finally have a little space to breathe and you get fully on the gas lane, you got to make sure that you have that speed to get going.
Yeah, you got to make sure to maximize that momentum from behind, from before, like you said, but also facing the chicane in the proper way. It's going to be also challenging, and the way that the drivers are going to be bringing that speed from the turn 18 to the following section of the racetrack in this case, meaning the start again. And also Ryan Vargas mentioned about the S-turns that we're going to have from 3 to 7, that, you know, how interconnected they are. He was mentioning about having to make that strategy from one to the next, because that's going to indeed maximize your results. And I do agree with TJ. I want to see the top drivers in our competition showing their qualities, showing that they can master that spot in the racetrack.
Well, one last time to see those test sessions is this Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, as one of our pro drivers walks you through the Las Vegas Strip, which will be the championship. So make sure to follow on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube and turn on those notifications for sure. And now we've got qualifying live and up and ready to go. So without further ado, up in the booth, DJ and Lane, take it away.
Another day and another week where we get to kick Bear out of the studio, Lane. How glorious is it that the regular season continues to give us pure tranquility and peace? We've got about 30 seconds while the drivers ready up. Lane, we talked already way too much about the track, but with qualifying, you only get, by our calculations, about maybe 4 to 5 true racing laps. Do we have predictions for a top 3, perhaps?
I don't know, maybe one or two, of the leading drivers could be making an appearance into the podium. And yeah, we could be seeing, like I said before, like you also mentioned, one of those 4 guys. So potentially, I'm looking into Saturn, I'm looking into Mile Proto, Mal, Reinforced Seagull. I think it is their time. And, you know, it is definitely their time to show up and seize one of the positions into the playoffs because of their recent results. So let's see how they're going to be performing. Also using the qualifying session to warm up the tires, to feel how the racetrack is today and how tricky it is as well.
Well, anybody who's gotten to watch the broadcast over the last few weeks knows how much of a Seagull fan that I am. Seagull has been the most consistent driver up until Silverstone. Seagull placed P7 in every single race, but then Silverstone came. I believe they placed P9, P10. So me and Seagull had a lot of very funny conversations in the driver's Discord server where I talked and I said, look, just get P7 and I'll be happy. And they also said, I got you. So I'm fully expecting that P7 promise to be held up. But with everybody in one qualifying session as well, I'm very intrigued to see what maybe a slight rule implication may have in here. We have re-enabled collisions, and I don't believe that it applies for qualifying. I could be wrong, but for the race, we will have full collisions. We will not have any ghosting on the very first lap. The first turn will probably be chaotic lane, but the drivers, it just means that this next 17-minute period becomes that much more important when you come to getting to terms with the racetrack.
You're correct. They need to understand that, physicality is back on track, also to challenge them even more. Not only today, but looking into the playoffs, looking into next week in Las Vegas. Now, it is another element for them to seize, manage, and also overcome versus their opponents. And about Reinforced Seagull, I wanted to mention real quickly to Jay that it is his day. Definitely, he could be seizing a position in this very track today. Now, he needs to also adjust the time when it comes to going to the pit stop. I was going to say that back in Silverstone last week, right, he kind of went too late for the pit stops. That costed him positions. The same happened, for instance, with Jukai. So he is by now more experienced. I want to see him stepping up again. He did an amazing first 2 GPs in the season. It's time to show all the quality he's got again.
Drivers taking their time to swerve around the racetrack, which may look dangerous to the untrained eye here, but in the Formula Sem Esports Cup, it is all part of getting warm. I think the biggest part to watch out for is that as all these drivers come across the line for their first hot lap lane, look how close they all are, which we've talked about it in broadcast prior, that you need to space out for qualifying. You need to take your time and make sure that you can get an uninterrupted lap, but some of these drivers opting to go more aggressive, maybe getting slipstream off of one another, and as they all almost start their laps, as you can tell by the disappearing out lap sign on the left, we officially have gone racing.
Yeah, we are starting. We are underway here in the qualifying session. Let's see who are going to be the leaders. Last week we got No Need to, Joseph, Top Racing, Illegal Monkey. Now it is the time to see, if any of these new guys could step up. I'm seeing Saipo Trey. He was out of a lot of the races in the season. Now making it into the second position at this point, DJ, along with Doug Jr. at this point. Let's see how the times are going to be coming up into the screen for them.
I mean, for Doe and Saipo, you're just kind of lucky that because of your names and because you joined the lobby early, you get put in P1 and P2. Those positions will not become finalized until we actually get lap times in, but we're following Mile Proto, who's one of the front runners. It is Mile Proto and James, who you can watch in the bottom right corner of your screen next to that wonderful Brightspeed Fiber Internet logo. You can see the map of Suzuka here, and you can tell that our very first 2 lap times are going to be placed very soon. So far, based off what I can see, Joseph does look quick, has created some space on Mile. I'm not sure if it's going to matter too much, as also some drivers are having some moments, hence the caution flag, but without further ado, our very first lap time of the entire session is a 1:29.9. Let's see how the other drivers tend to double up on it or potentially improve. Joseph goes 1:28.8 lane.
Oh my God, in retaining that position, you see the amount of drivers also building their own times, but Joseph so far, so good, leading the pack at this point. Very, very good lap time, amazing job. I mean, he has evolved and progressed so well in the last races to now. We can tell this guy has aged like wine, let's put it this way, because he had a P5 in Spa and then P2, in the last 2 weeks in Silverstone. So amazing job at this point. Begin to see also Top Racing peaking and Squeaky Hardware also reaching the top 3 at this point, DJ.
No Need Dude, I also believe was out of the pits for their out lap, but then as they came around, I think they had maybe a slight spin, decided to pit early, and we'll have to go back out once again. But Top Racing, this has been one of the largest narratives of the entire season. Top Racing was easily the best driver on the grid. I would argue for maybe the first 2 weeks, including the preseason. But since then, it has been anything but Top Racing domination. Top Racing has fell more and more into the middle of the pack, and the points back that up as well. And Squeaky Hardware has taken all of the room, all of the space, and has really capitalized on all of Top Racing's mistakes. I mean, when you talk about the championship standings, No Need Dude at a very clear 224 points, Squeaky Hardware 161, Top Racing 148. Many of these drivers are very close together, and I'll talk about more of that later, but Top Racing, again, under a very heavy spotlight this week.
Very heavy spot indeed. There he goes to keep his qualities, keep his momentum here. But talking about talking about No Need To that we just mentioned him before, maybe he's going for more of a long rehearsal-ish kind of qualifying session to try to understand the racetrack. We do know that due to Suzuka's GP nature, high-speed nature, he's going to maybe need that time. He's going to maybe feel better how things going to be rolling as we see Illegal Monkey feeling it a little bit. TJ, it's going to be interesting because indeed, No Need Dude's not going to like, he's not going to want to stay in the backpack.
Well, I was talking about a different driver. Illegal Monkey was getting warmed up, but Akaruki has slammed a front wing into the side of Sector 2. That is the last we will see of Akaruki. Unfortunately, it's been a long string of DNFs for the young racer, but the GP is still looming. So hopefully they'll be able to come back stronger than ever. And in the meantime, we will have to see how can this next batch of drivers do. You're looking at Illegal Monkey. You're looking at Seagull, No Need Dude, and AN80. And AN80, not somebody who we've associated in the top 10, but trying to push up that high. Not to mention that Illegal Monkey has been a very up and down driver this year. We talked way too much about Seagull already, but now we finally get to see the power that No Need Dude can unleash. And as they're getting their laps out, I would love to throw it to our analyst for the entire section of today. Bear, what are you seeing thus far?
Guys, you talked about Illegal Monkey and No Need Dude, and so I talked to Illegal Monkey just last week. He mentioned his relationship with No Need Dude. You also saw that they were both the last two out for their out lab, so that means that they certainly had a strategy coming in to maybe look at the rest of the field, see and feel out maybe how the track feels from their perspective, get that perspective coming into their own labs. So that relationship definitely helped. Maybe they communicated together for one another, but either way, we'll see their labs lock in here in just a moment.
Thank you, Bear. As always, very phenomenal analysis. I would have never guessed that Illegal Monkey and No Need Dude were friendly. I mean, it's not illegal to be in Discord calls with maybe some of the drivers and pull some strategy out. And so far, I mean, for Illegal Monkey's case, it worked, taking the time, letting the track get a little warm. And now you've put yourself into P5. No Need Dude, along with a lot of white cars, are making their way around, as you can see in the bottom right corner. Here they come across the line. And in terms of the other white cars, it looks like that Illegal Monkey, Saturn, and Trey have not made any major improvement. Saturn has pitted, but here comes No Need Dude around in a 128.5 lane.
See, he was saving the best for the very end. What a guy, what a dude, literally making a fantastic job closer to the middle portion of this qualifying session. And not only him, but Illegal Monkey definitely acquiring, stepping up, getting some additional spots. Now, there's definitely a relation of admiration by Illegal Monkey when it comes to No Need Dude. He's always very respectful. He mentions him in some conversations at the Discord indeed, and knows that No Need Dude is a very, very qualified driver. He's going to be strong contender for the title over here. TJ, interesting session so far, and No Need Dude reaching that peak as he likes. That's his favorite spot, to be honest.
Well, I mean, P1 has gotten pretty cozy, and it's a pretty clear, defined margin of what it takes to beat No Need Dude. And for a lot of this season, the answer doesn't exist. No Need Dude has driven an incredible season thus far. Again, has a 60-point margin. Yes, you're hearing me right. 60-point margin in the driver standings. But as the next batch of racers, the racers who got their very first laps in, they will now make their turn back out. Top Racing has decided to come out a little earlier than the rest of them. Also, Squeaky Hardware is confusingly putting on mediums. I'm not sure exactly what the idea is there, but we will have to see. Every driver comes with a weird strategy call that some work wonderfully and some don't. But without further ado, Top Racing's second hot lap. Let's see how it goes.
Yes, so let's see how that's gonna go. Interestingly, now talking about Squeaky Hardware, right? Interestingly, going from the softs to the mediums, not a totally different or a strange strategy for him. Now we have to remember that after Silverstone, he moved from top 3 in the season standings to top 2. So an amazing season at this point, adjusting a lot of points and doing good so far. So good for him. So let's see how that's gonna roll. We have the chance to check on board with Top Racing what he's gonna be able to do. Just have a second, TJ, versus Joseph. So he's chasing that P2.
I asked production to throw up this onboard specifically because I want everyone to see what a talented racer has to do against one of the most, I would say, teetering tracks of the entire calendar that we offer here for the Formula STEM Esports Cup. Trying to balance the car, balance your tires, balance the throttle. It is no easy job, and we did miss Sector 1, but you got to see just how careful you have to be, and Top Racing is on a flyer thus far. That entire Sector 2 has gone purple. It's the fastest of the entire section. One last chicane, sticking the middle of the car over. This is looking like a flyer lane, coming around the end, bending it down the inside. Is this for P1? You can bet your bottom dollar by .028.
Wow, fantastic. That's the top racing we do know, right? That's top racing that, for instance, won the Austrian GP. That's the guy that went and won the Brazilian GP as well. Top racing doing a fantastic job. And we could see that happening, TJ. He was so fast and, with such a reduced amount of time for the entire lap at that very last chicane. Amazing job putting No Need Dude into the second spot. That's going to be tricky. It's going to be spicy.
That is just incredible from Top Racing. We have been waiting for so long to see Top Racing return back to the top. And as of right now, they will hold it as they get to cool down the car and come back in. But also notice that Squeaky Hardware is making an attempt on the medium tires. So it is almost physically impossible to be quicker on the harder tire compound. But we will have to see. Also, No Need Dude is going to be on their outlaps. We'll have to see if they can improve their time.
Yeah, and talking about the tires and Squeaky Hardware, right? We don't know that he's a very versatile driver when it comes to the tire compounds. He used the same strategy, TJ, last week in Silverstone, softs and then mediums, stopping at the middle of the racetrack. So let's see if he's going to be trying to repeat that today also in the GP.
Well, now is the point of the qualifying session where the track gets a little frisky, and as we do see a lot of moving pieces, including a car that went off the track, I would love Bear to come back in, and I mean, Bear, No Need Dude in Top Racing, that rivalry has been great to watch all season. Do we finally get to see it accumulate into something beautiful here in the last week of the regular season?
Well, of course. I mean, it's something that we've seen all season long, and I think it definitely manifests itself here in this qualifier. You mentioned No Need Dude on his outlap, so we'll be able to follow him in his journey to try to steal that back. That gap is just absolutely a perfect metaphor for exactly what we've seen all season long, that these two racers are certainly considered two of the best, and there is no other better place that I would rather be than Suzuka to be able to watch these two battles. So yes, TJ, I expect nothing less than here in this qualifying session, but also in the GP to see the same thing.
Well, without further ado, we will now join No Need Dude for their second hot lap. Top Racing has set the bar just about as high as it physically can go, with just about a few hundred standing between P1 and P2. And now we get to see No Need Dude, who had some struggles earlier in the qualifying session, decided to wait it out, got a free track, and placed a absolute heater. But now we get to catch the entire lap. You just saw Sector 1 there, Lane. Top Racing maybe should be sweating a little bit here. And look how much time No Need Dude is cutting off.
Oh, man, he's dialed in. Oh, no, as I say that, he spins. Oh, my God, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, he's going to go down a lot in time. Here, TJ.
Through Sector 1, No Need Dude was 2 entire tenths up on Top Racing's time. That is a tough lap to give up. But in the meantime, we do get to see how the rest of the grid will shake out. Now, No Need Dude will have to go join Top Racing in the pits, and we may actually get to see a lot of the top of the grid go back out one more time. We now approach 4 minutes left in this qualifying session. Again, lane collisions have been turned on. The straight is very dangerous, trying to punt your car around turn 1. There's a little bit more room for error, but not a whole lot. So these GP positions become immensely more important. I mean, the last time we had collisions turned all the way on, Top Racing was actually punished for not being P1, got slammed into the back of, and had a DNF.
Yes, he suffered that indeed, and some of these drivers actually are very attentive to this possibility. Now, you gotta be careful to find a balance and not do overspeed in some occasions, or you can be facing situations and incidents just like this one we saw for No Need Dude. I mean, he brought too much speed potentially and just oversteered. It was complicated to deal with that situation, as a lot of those drivers are going to the pit stop. Now we're going to be talking about some pressure compounds in a little bit, how that's going to be affecting them, but it's the end of the section as well, TJ. So far, an amazing session.
Drivers like Joseph, Top Racing, and James, along with Mile, have now decided to make their way out in what will most likely be their last lap attempt. Siegel will also make their way out, and Lane, just in case you didn't notice, because I just did, look where Siegel is on the leaderboard. Is that not fitting?
Amazing job, amazing job. Yeah, he's trying, he's doing his best. Let's see how it's going to be changing that landscape, because I do not believe that he's going to be P7 once more in this season, TJ. That cannot happen.
Well, either way, we will have to see, because now all the drivers are making their way around. We are currently on board with Mao, who it does look like, based off that battery, is indeed on their flying lap, coming all the way around. Somebody who sits at the very bottom with all of the time to gain, currently sitting at a minute 23. It does look like they will find some improvement as long as they can hammer this car down the inside, and it looks like they're going to lose a little bit of time. They will improve, will jump 3 places, so a little bit of action at the very bottom of the grid. But I want to check in with Bear one last time, because here comes Noni Dude and 24K King. Will Top Racing hold this spot, Bear?
It's tough to tell. No, you dude, obviously, you're shaking up a little bit after that last mishap that we saw in the last onboarding. 24K King, though, great move to get up to the top 3. Now, is he going to challenge that top 3? He's gotten extremely close, but I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing No Need Dude with an opportunity here in this last outlap to potentially be able to pass it. But Top Racing, you did yourself favors by able to take that lead a little bit earlier. So I anticipate Top Racing to take this top, but only time will tell, as No Need Dude will have that opportunity at the very end.
Okay, well, thank you, Bear, but Joseph has come out of left field with a 1:28.3, so we're going to follow Noni Dude, who's wrapping up Sector 3, but Lane, before Noni Dude starts their lap, wow, Joseph did not come to mess around.
Joseph, it's his momentum again, finding so many good exhibitions lately, and an amazing lap time now to overcome the beasts of the season. Let's put it this way: the kings of short racetracks, No Need Dude, and also Top Racing. What is Joseph doing? Stepping up and showing his qualities as well.
Well, here we go. 30 seconds left. These will be the last few laps of the entire session. Almost every driver is out on the grid, and Noni Dude, looking to grab P1 and steal it from the hearts of Top Racing and Joseph, is also sandwiched between 2 cars. And as I say that, that will be the Moses clearing moment that Noni Dude needed. So now a completely open track. But if you notice, there's a pink car behind Noni Dude. And Lane, that is no other than Top Racing, I believe, on their hot lap as well.
Yeah, he's got to have a final chance. Let's see how that final outcome is going to be. Not only him, but 24 King as well. Let's see the final drivers doing their best here. We have No Need Dude doing an amazing job at the hairpin, carrying that speed out, and doing a nice turn exit as well. He's going to go for the last portion of the racetrack. Man, oh man, he can still outcome the guys.
They're making their way through Sector 2, trying to find time around turn 13 and 14. It's a lot of speed and a lot of dangerous maneuvers you have to make to pin that car right on the outside. And as they wrap up Sector 2, look at the top right. Noni Dude is just barely ahead on their lap time, which means that Joseph may be safe for the time being, but Noni Dude could do something generational here if they can stick the car on just a few more turns. Top Racing is also right behind, so here come the final 2 laps from our best racers. Noni Dude jumps a spot. Top Racing gets it back. The complete madness has already happened, and also look at the times. Joseph escapes by 0.005 Lane.
Wow, yeah, it's barely a 10th of seconds. Amazing performance. Joseph, yeah, nailing it. It seems to be his day again. And Top Racing right after. We also got No Need Dude composing that top 3. It's going to be amazing to see how eager they're going to be hopping into the GP. As we also have 24 King doing a good job. Again, another very good exhibition by 24 King on the qualifying session from last week into this one as well.
Well, it looks like we have our grid. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Bear back in virtually because I don't believe we're going to have time to see cams. So for Bear, your notes from, I believe, what is our closest top 3 of the entire season.
You cannot underestimate anybody on this grid, is what I'm saying, because Joseph came out of basically left field, but at the same time, that effort put in at the tail end as Top Racing was able to lock in that second place for P2 to kick things off was absolutely outstanding, and to only be able to miss out 5 1,000ths of a second is ridiculous, and then just 5/10ths of a second behind that, 500ths of a second rather, is No Need Dude. So that's how close the top 3 are here. They're going to be battling back and forth. We were asking, how does 24K King bounce back? They did a great job of just that, and Illegal Monkey, Squeaky Hardware, and Reinforcing Seagull just absolutely preaching consistency with their 5, 6, 7.
Lane, I want to run down the points as well together because we actually do get to see Bear's face. So welcome back to the Formula Semi Sports Cup.
Yeah.
The GP will start very soon, but I want to very briefly run down the points because No Need Dude sits 60 points ahead of the rest of the grid, but I'm just going to speed run. Squeaky Hardware, 161. Top Racing, 148. 24K King, 145. Then it goes Joseph, 130. Monkey, 126. Ian, 119. James, 113. Siegel, 102. Mao, 98. This is a very important race in terms of final regular season standings. Almost any position change in the top 10 of our driver standings can completely throw off our predictions of who's going to finish anywhere from 2nd to 10th. It's about as close as it physically can be. And funnier than that, there's a world where, let's say Mao wins, they could jump all the way up to P2. Who knows? It's about as close as you could ask for, Lane.
They could. For instance, Ian Hawk, that didn't drive last week, he hopped from P4 to P7, for instance, in the overall season standings. That goes to show you that points do matter as much as the playoff spots. And as you said, Mao can definitely step up. He can find his spots. I do believe he's ready for that. You know, he's going to be shining today. Not only him, but let's see what's going to happen.
Man, oh man, well, I got to add to my notes here as well, boys. I think, one thing that we did notice was that everybody was cutting their lap times tremendously as time went on. Yes, they had time during the practice run as well to kind of dive into things, but you can see them learning piece by piece, which will be extremely important as we now head into the formation lap. Guys, I got to get down to the track, so I'll leave it to you. Go ahead.
Well, I will say this to Bear. You better be wearing some form of protection because this is the first race in a long time this season where collisions are turned back on. So I hope that Bear is behind the pit lane, behind a barricade, maybe even in the top level of the stands because, Lane, it's going to get messy in turn 1.
It's going to get messy, and not only because of that element, but you see also the guys bringing a lot of different tires. Oh, man, it's going to be also very, very tough to predict which strategy who's going to be bringing at the field, and it's going to be lovely. Indeed, let's just put ourselves behind trenches to get protected because this is going to be crazy, and that's what we want to be seeing as we take a look of checking the formation lap over here. The guys warming up those tires. We have Joseph, of course, at the leadership 4. And now following what we just saw in the qualifying session, TJ, man, oh man, this is going to be crazy.
The setup for this race looks incredible as well because Top Racing and No Need Dude have chose different strategies, I believe, almost every regular season race. And you can see what the game suggests down there, but I know for a fact that No Need Dude is probably looking to stay on those softs for about as long as Top Racing stays on those mediums. So in terms of pit strategies, you're looking anywhere, because it's a 19-lap race, you are looking anywhere from around laps 8 all the way up to 11 in terms of who's going to pit where. You're going to see some slight bugs as well. Nobody is disqualified. They're just getting lined up. Top Racing, though, did go over the line, which is why it says disqualified, which means they will now be getting a slight penalty, not by time, but in the back of the grid. But without further ado, Suzuka calls for incredible racing, incredible action, and the Formula Stem Esports Cup will wrap up its regular season right here, right now, as all the drivers will make their way with collisions turned on down into turn 1. It seems like a few will get away with it. Already we're seeing tires touching. Joseph will try to keep the lead, but can't do it for that long. Now Top Racing will already gain it, but they're fighting deep into turns 3 and 4 here. They're making their way deep again into the rest of the chicane. You've got to be careful putting the car around, but it looks like our top 3 are already moving positions. No need to try to go down the inside. Joseph will completely cut and slam the door shut, and lane sector 1 already delivers.
Oh my God, and Squeaky Hardware, jumping from P6 now to a P5 to try to catch the leaders. As you said, Joseph losing quickly that P1 to Top Racing, and it's going to be a matter of how Top Racing is going to be stabilizing himself in the leadership. We also got No Need Dude, very steady at the P3. Amazing beginning.
No Need Dude, we joined the onboard at a very dangerous moment. You have to be careful about how much grass you try to take on these tires. A fake move for No Need Dude. They'll try to force Joseph to maybe get a little scared down the inside. No Need Dude trying to gain time, but you have to stick a little bit outside of the racing line. Joseph goes defensive, won't be able to hold off for long, and without DRS, No Need Dude on the softs has already jumped back into contention. Top Racing did build a nice second lead, but on the medium tires, it's not about that timing, you need to be overly more consistent, and you probably will have to be as quick or even quicker than No Need Dude, which nobody has been able to do at all this season. Some other notes as well, Squeaky Hardware and Seagull had a few moments, but have made their way back up a decent amount of spins, but nobody has crashed throughout lap 1. So I am knocking on wood and everything I love, Lane, but how about this? We've got some skilled drivers here.
We do have it, and it's amazing to see that No Need Dude is totally capitalizing on the soft tires, right? Catching that speed and moving up in the ladder bar. Amazing job. And also top racing on the top of that, being fantastic with the mediums, being faster than No Need Dude. These guys are going to be battling for positions from now on. We begin to see the stabilization of the time differences between them. It's amazing to see also how Reinforced Seagull is indeed making his way into the top spots, now battling directly with James and also with Squeaky Hardware. So 3 guys for 1 spot here, TJ.
We joined the onboard at a perfect time because James and it looks like Seagull are extremely close here. Not to mention that they're not too far behind the rest of the grid as well. But again, I mentioned in the pre-show, this Sector 2, the turns 12 all the way through 14, which you just witnessed, that section is where a lot of these drivers start to pull ahead. And now 24K King, I'm not sure what happened, but is having some issues. Lost a decent amount of time. 24K King will try to stick it right on the outside, down the middle of 2 drivers. 24K King, an extremely bold move. They're almost 3 wide, almost 4 wide, punting it over the grass here. We've got some very expensive lawnmowers, Lane.
They don't care about the chicane nature of trying to pull you away, trying to slow you down. No, they're using the chicane as an overtake prime spot. It's beautiful to see that James went for it. He was using the inside line, trying to catch that spot. He was able to move ahead. Now, he also got very, very strong drivers ahead of him. Again, Reinforced Seagull, Squeaky Hardware. It's been an amazing drive. It's been an amazing GP so far, TJ.
Seagull, Hardware, James, and 24K King are all within reaching distance of one another, within 1 or 2 places on our top 9 places here in the Formula STEM Esports Cup. So these fights aren't just for the GP spots. They don't need to worry about playoff spots. Well, Seagull does, but nobody else does. It's for pride. It's for position. It's for to say that in the inaugural Formula 7 Esports Cup, I came P5, I came P6, I was up in P3. That matters. They're fighting for a lot aside of just positions here. Ooh. Slight punting happens, and Joseph will now be approaching, trying to make their way past a legal monkey, and it's going to be close. It's going to be tight, but in the meantime, let's throw it to Bear because it seems like the drivers will settle just so temporarily. Bear, what are you seeing thus far?
It's been an excellent display of just pure talent here for sure. One driver that we haven't mentioned a whole lot over the course of the season that I got to show some love to, the driver right now that's gained the most positions since the start of this race, AN80 Racing, doing well, going all the way up from his starting spot in 16th all the way up to 10th now on those soft tires, certainly making use of it, and at the certainly in the pack, in the running here, just behind Reinforced Seagull. James just 3 seconds behind there. Shout out to AN80 Racing for being able to keep it interesting here and improve over the course of the season.
Joseph has also had to pit. I believe when that punt happened, the front wing got completely demolished. So now Joseph not only has to replace the front wing, which takes extra time in game, but also has to go on the hard tires for about 15 laps. So Lane, that's a big development. Joseph currently sits at P5 in the driver standings, and there is a good lane to success, no pun intended, but Lane, things continue to get dicey here in the top 5.
They are so nice and so interesting, indeed, incredible. GP at this point, we could see before Legal Monkey battling, touching his opponent's back rear of the car. Great job, and trying to fight for that spots. And yes, Joseph, you know, in the back and in the back spots is not something that we usually have been seeing lately. As we see 24 Kingdom Reinforced Seagull totally spinning. What a situation for him, losing some time here. What a race, what a race. I don't have enough words to qualify what we're seeing here today.
Collisions are on. It's only a matter of time before things get a little iffy, to say the least. Not to mention that if you pay attention to the time charts, you will notice that, yes, you do have 24K King and James who are still fighting, but they are slowly catching back up to Squeaky Hardware, who just gained a few positions as all of the crashing and madness happened. Not also to mention that if you look at everybody from AN80 and below. First off, AN80 is up into P8. That is a season high placement for that racer, and I'm intrigued to see how they can keep that pace going. Sater and Mao as well, drivers who've had their fair share of inconsistencies, but seem to be finding the track at the right time. They have a great battle going on down there, but in the meantime, 24K King still trying to survive Squeaky Hardware, and now we do get to catch AN80. They do catch a little bit of grass. They might just go 3 wide here towards the back half of Sector 1. AN80 has had a tough moment. I don't believe took any damage, but that's a tough one. Another driver goes wide. It's still AN80 Racing, who just barely survived the first time, but couldn't keep the car on the track. That is a absolute heartbreaker lane.
Disaster for him. Oh man, he was doing so good. We were just mentioning that. He had a P14 so far in the season at the Monza GP. He was feeling good. He was doing a good job, to be honest. And, you know, yeah, you cannot carry that much of speed always as you exit some turns, so he was unfortunate there getting back in positions here and really dropping so harshly at this point, as we have a chance to also take a look at Mile Proto with his hearts. Let's see how far he's gonna be going, TJ. But I was gonna mention also that, you know, there's a lot of pressure at this point for the drivers using the softs at this moment. So Squeaky Hardware, James doing good, but, you know, Sealed, Satyr, and Mao, they do need to be doing better. They need to seize that moment, use that gap into their favor to reach the leaders.
Oh no, Noni Dude has actually decided to pit here in lap 6 to go to the medium. So Noni Dude making a very bold call because they were losing seconds per lap to Top Racing. They will now try to undercut not just Top Racing, but the entire grid. So a massive judgment call for Noni Dude, who will also have to fight through the chaos of the top, I would say, P7 to P12. They're all very close together. It could be very dangerous trying to survive that sector of the track, but a very, very interesting move for Noni Dude, who now has decided to play the long game.
Absolutely, and it's not very usual for him to pit that early. Usually his window is more in the middle of the racetrack, in the middle of the GP. Now he goes before than everybody else, already kind of predicting, right, that everybody that is up of him, ahead of him, and when it comes to the leaderboard, is going to have to stop at a point. So he went way before the proper time, and as we said multiple times in the season, TJ, he is an overcutter. He likes to do the overcuts, now going for the undercut, interestingly enough, as he also do know that Suzuka GP is marked by not being a very good racetrack or GP to overtake, so he's not going to have a lot of chances on that matter. Maybe that could be informing his decision.
Well, in the meantime, Squeaky Hardware had a moment off the track, has fallen all the way down to P11 on those softs. So it right now is the time for medium drivers across the entire grid, as Evan has unfortunately taken a time penalty. We hope that won't hurt too much up in P8, but now Squeaky Hardware has been forced after a slight moment off the track, has to go and pit, and I would imagine we'll see them whip out the mediums as well. That's exactly what we will see, but Top Racing has been on a masterclass run so far, but you've got to check James, 24K King, and Siegel, who are very close, and there goes a driver off the grid. I do believe it was Siegel who spins out completely and will be in a free fall down the rest of the grid. I mean, I know collisions are on. I know it was going to be messy, but how many drivers' races are we going to see ruined here, Lane?
Yeah, it's been something so recurrent so far in the Suzuka GP. Guys reaching the gravel zones. Again, it is a very, very tricky and challenging racetrack. We do know that the runoff areas are very limited, so you cannot just allow yourself to go too much, as we see some battle now by Mao overtaking. And Reinforced Skill, it's right there as well. You got 3 drivers, to be honest, almost 4 in the same pace. It's becoming kind of a train at this point. 4 guys fighting for spots here today.
And Noni Dude, this is now that point in the race where you have to pay close attention to if Noni Dude can survive this section of the track as they punt Siegel out once again. Siegel will fall down at the hands of Noni Dude, who leaves absolutely no mercy on this racetrack. And now Noni Dude seems to have survived one of the most dangerous parts of the entire GP, and alongside some of the most dangerous drivers thus far. So for Noni Dude, if they continue to cut time down Who knows if Top Racing can hold that lead, but Bear, we are slowly approaching the pit window. We're looking anywhere from right now where we see 5 drivers pit for the next 2-3 laps. Where is everyone going to shake out when it's all said and done?
24K King on the pit road. Seal Satire, who is doing great, actually at his highest position so far this season as well. Shout out AN80 Gaming Racing as well. Mao also on the pit lane, and Siegel had enough. He's coming down to the pit lane as well after all of that development came ahead of him. But Top Racing is certainly smiling right now. Not only does he have plenty of fresh air out in front of him, some clean air, more importantly, he's got No Need Dude that had to battle through a bunch of racers. Now, he's got the fresher tires for now. But Top Racing, when he comes into the pit lane, he's going to have a clean advantage on the rest of the field, including No Need Dude. So he's just got to race a clean race, which is easier said than done here at Suzuka.
We are now halfway through our final regular season GP, and the drama could not be any hotter. Lane, there's a few other strategies to look out for. First of all, Top Racing has made the decision to pit, and we are going to follow No Need Dude, who I don't think is going to make it out in time to try and regain a spot in P3, or in the top 3 spots, I mean, but also Mile Proto, who has decided to go for the major overcut, 7 laps on the hards. When are they going to have to decide to pit?
Correct. I think he's going to be watching intensively his opponents to decide when he's going to be bailing into the pit road. But now, talking about Top Racing, yeah, right moment, right? Correct decision, going for that pit stop, using the margin, the edge he's built so far. And about recovery, about regain, since you're bringing this word, TJ, we have to mention that there's always a difference, right? How you mentally deal with the spinnings, how you deal with that after the incident happens. Now, I'm talking about that because No Need Dude quickly recovered. He regained those positions after spinning. But you look at AN80 Racing, that didn't happen for him. That didn't happen as much as well for Reinforced Seagull. So you gotta know how to deal with those crisis moments because they're gonna come. They're gonna happen.
All eyes sit atop of the standings. You look at Illegal Monkey, who currently sits in P6 in the driver's standings, does have a decent gap. I do believe that the total time spent in the pits is anywhere from, based on what I'm seeing, I think it's anywhere from about 7 to 11 seconds that you spend driving in the pit lane outside of the pit stop, based on, you know, if you get a penalty, how fast you make it through. Either way, if Illegal Monkey decides to pit now, it's probably the best time because Top Racing is already cutting, I believe, a full second off, at least in this last lap's time. And now Top Racing has gotten almost a full lap down with cold hard tires. So for No Need Dude, you do get to regain some spots. You will get to end up P3 after Mile has to pit. There's only a 4-second gap. But now one of the bigger points of contention is Illegal Monkey making the decision right here to pit. There goes Top Racing. There goes Mile. And it looks like No Need Dude will get to pass as well and has set the fastest lap of the entire GP. So for Illegal Monkey, who has decided to go for the hards, it's going to be a very tough road to try and get back into contention.
Up, right? And get better at the essential moment of the race. As we see No Need Dude here making his movements. Come to Jay, what happened?
I'm confused. I don't see a single driver who crashed. Actually, I take that back. I see a white car in the middle of sector 1 and 2 who is moving slowly, but they're already back on the track. So it's not a virtual safety car. It's a full safety car. I am very confused as to what just happened, but this is very, very big for No Need Dude, who will now get the chance to jump their way all the way back up closer to Top Racing on softer tires as well. And now the decision to pit, I believe for softs, will come out for the top of the grid. This is huge for Mile, who is going to be in a tough spot regardless of pit strategy, but with the safety car, now not only gets fresher tires, but will get to rejoin both Top Racing and No Need Dude. So Mile, somebody who has not guaranteed themselves a playoff spot, could be in a beautiful spot to do so, Lane.
Yeah, I think he's feeling that chance today. I suppose, you know, a major opportunity for him and for No Need to catch those spots, but especially for Mile Proto. If you take a look at the leaderboard as a whole, you're going to see that Mile is way behind, way below. Reinforced Seagull as well. Saturn in the top 10. But, you know, Mile Proto is looking like that guy that can seize the spot. As we see the safety car still ahead of them. I don't know if we're back supposed to.
Whoa, okay, wait a minute. Before we throw to Bear, I have to address a few things. Illegal Monkey has passed cars under the safety car and got disqualified from the entire session. So
Oh
that's
my God.
big for drivers like Mile, James, Hardware, people who are sitting in the top 5, because they can now take a major, major moment to overtake Monkey in the standings. Also, Siegel got a 10-second penalty for interfering with Saturn. So on that note, Bear, I believe we're going to get one more full lap with the safety car, or at least half of a lap. Do you have any idea what triggered this safety car?
Still have no idea what was going on with the safety car itself. We do know that AN80 Racing has DNF'd. Potentially that was the cause of this. That's the only thing that I could look at and see definitively. But at the same time, the illegal monkey, controversy that we've seen, I've basically taken my note cards, thrown them out the window. One thing that I did want to point out, though, is that this is great for Joseph. He went into pit. He'll have soft tires here for the remaining 7 or 6 laps, depending on how many laps the safety car's out here for. They'll be on those soft tires to kind of catch up and gain some time, just in addition to no need, dude. So that being said, you'll have Top Racing with the fresher of the 2 tires. So this battle between James and Top Racing is about to heat up.
All the drivers have learned in the pass lane with the safety car. We don't see many drivers accidentally hitting each other or passing each other. Nobody wants to be the next illegal monkey. You don't want to accidentally pass a car and then get completely sent to the Shadow Realm by EA and F124 here. But regardless, the safety car, it looks like will stay out for a little bit longer, should come in just a few turns here. As you can see, James positioning alongside the safety car lane. When we get back to racing here, this should be the most contested ending I think that we've ever seen.
It's gonna be indeed, and not only by the leading drivers in the season, but also the middle drivers. Let's call it this way: the guys who are still fighting, who still got some homework to do. Now, talking about Illegal Monkey, it's interesting to say, DJ and Bear, that Illegal Monkey is a dude, is a kid that demands a lot from himself. He's so harsh on himself in some moments, but also that's how you learn, that's how you evolve, that's how you progress. And surely another lesson from him when it comes to the safety car. Unfortunate, I have to say, because he was doing good at this point. So let's see how he's gonna digest that into the playoffs next week.
I mean, for Top Racing and Mile, who got free pit stops, No Need Dude gets a free one as well. The performance won't be massive on James, but being this close together, that is when it will start to matter. And we're talking mere tenths of seconds. That is where the tire difference and the lap difference really will start to shine. So for Squeaky Hardware and Satyr, I'm confused as to see why they didn't decide to pit, and if Joseph can maybe make a move under that. Saturn as well. There's a lot to look out for once we do get racing, which, based off what I'm seeing, I do believe the safety car should go in after these last few turns. The only real safe straight to let racing go underway is right here at the end of Sector 2. So if the safety car is going to pit, it should be right here, or maybe we'll see another half of a lap taken away. It only helps James to not have to put those tires under full stress, but it also helps the rest of the grid who did decide to pit, because they're just getting to warm their tires up for free. So, again, a lot of developing moments and potentially season-defining moments here in the last regular season race lane.
100%. And I was gonna also point, like you said, that the safety car maybe is taking too long. Maybe it's time for him to get out of the way, literally, as he goes. We're gonna be back at full speed. He actually
in just a second here.
Okay, yeah, we're finishing. Obviously, we have the nice, beautiful catch here, the nice and beautiful image of the final chicane as we move into another lap. DJ, we also have a chance to talk about James, right? Since he's leading the pack at this point, let's see how much more he's going to be leading, because the guys are behind him trying to catch up. It's a nice battle leading into the first turn.
James going extremely defensive, almost illegally defensive on Top Racing, and it will cost Miles some positions. It will cost Top Racing some positions as well, because now they both have to look out for No Need Dude, who is very, very narrowly trying to make sure they can keep that car on the inside, but you can't ruin your entire race right here, right now. You've got to settle in, and this might be the first time we have to see Top Racing and No Need Dude actually work together to get this true P1, P2 fight of the entire season, but we are full speed, full pace, with just about 6 more laps to go. It doesn't...
Oh my god, what a massive amount of pressure on the shoulders and hands of James. You can feel it, that he's feeling it. The pressure is there. He's going to be able to survive. Now, it's going to be tough for him to keep the speed. He's got some laps more when it comes to the age of the medium tires he's using at this point, but Top Racing and no need, dude. Definitely sniffing and trying to find a spot, trying to find a bridge, as we're going to be seeing a potential chance here. Top Racing maybe finding his way up against James, but not at this point. James doing a beautiful defensive job.
I mean, definitely pushing the boundaries here. I mean, it's getting awkward. James is definitely taking some bold strategy here, but you've got to do whatever it takes to try and keep this spot. We have gone a full lap without the safety car. DRS is enabled. Top Racing has gone for the fake move on the inside. We'll try to stick it down the outside, but James has survived. But DRS is now officially in play, and we join Top Racing into the onboard. Does get a slight tap on the back of James. That's how much quicker Top Racing's finding their way around some of these turns. Has to be careful, though. You cannot damage your front wing. You've got to watch your battery level as well. They're currently sitting at about 30%, and you still have to survive not only a very confident, very composed no need dude, but that's your P1 in the driver's standings. That's your soft tire having no need dude. So things getting dangerous. James is still holding on, but Lane for how much longer?
That's a beautiful battle. Yeah, it's going to be tough now. James going to have a chance of displaying his qualities, his skills. He does so, winning those spots and spaces after the hairpin. We have not only Top Racing behind him, only dude, but Squeaky Hardware. It is a very, very fierce and tight battle, as Squeaky Hardware was seizing that spot. He was very, very much being chased right from behind. What a moment here, DJ.
Well, now we come almost to the DRS detection zone, and it looks like that almost the entire top 5 will get DRS all off of each other, all at once. Not to mention that Joseph is also slowly approaching that second mark. As we come through, dangerous move for Squeaky Hardware down the inside. We'll try to stick it, trying to make it all the way through, and yes, indeed, through goes Squeaky Hardware on the first straight of the 15th lap. What a move!
What a move. He knew there was a chance. The opportunity presented itself to him, and he chased, and he took it in his hands. Amazing job by Squeaky Hardware. So aggressive. That's his best version so far in the season, as we still see less than a second between the P1 and P4. Amazing fight, amazing battle. It's looking like World Championship here, TJ, to be honest.
Everybody here in the top 5 has secured playoff spots. So now we are talking about purely for pride, maybe even a little bit of greed, depending on how James is racing. Top Racing does take a little too much down the inside. It will be an awkward stretch to try and make it out of here alive for James. But so far, through almost 3 entire laps without the safety car, they are holding their position, holding their speed, even with the DRS, incredibly well. This might be a generational defensive job from James, but again, Top Racing is very quickly approaching, just about a 10th away. Has to be careful if they can actually, again, make it through without damage. Here comes the run, does use the overtake, down the inside, and Top Racing, a temporary return to glory as they try to stick this move on the outside of James. Will do so. James, though, down the inside, has stuck it again. The fight, element, the combativeness. We're seeing shrapnel fly across the grid here. It is absolute cinema, and now No Need Dude is directly on the tail of the terrible 2 ahead.
Fantastic battle. Nothing else to say. What a job by James, not allowing himself to feel under. Top Racing in this occasion, and there we have also No Need to join in the back. We're talking about 3 amazing drivers, but you can tell Top Racing is low on ERS. He's gonna be able to survive. The crash is gonna happen. No Need to spinning, but he's still fighting to keep ahead and fighting.
Squeaky Hardware made a move on the outside and caught the wheel of No Need Dude, who turned in a little aggressively. I'm not sure whose fault it was, but either way, a tough moment. So, Bear, I want to quickly throw it to you for our last major analysis point. Can you make sense of what we're seeing?
No Need Dude was trying to keep it clean. You saw the same thing in Idea from Top Racing, but when you're farther in the pack, you have to deal with more and more racing moves as things kind of heat up here, as 1 through 6 remain within a reasonable distance of one another within that DRS range as well for that front stretch. So guys, it has been an absolute battle between the top 6 here, but Top Racing, once he made that move around it, he's been able to separate himself, so that might have been the move that took it all.
Seagull is also completely out of the session, has taken a crash, will be off the grid, and it almost looks like we may see a safety car. Seagull's car is directly on the middle of Sector 1. I'm not sure we can even physically have one with 3 laps to go, but without further ado, Lane, it is just me and you for the end of this race, and it's a very, very tight fight once again. Squeaky Hardware has fallen all the way down to P5, so Top Racing has survived the chaos, now has almost a 3-second gap to the rest of the grid and just has to stay consistent to come home the regular season with a major GP win going into the championship. But regardless, this fight between Mile, Joseph, and James is big. Mile is on the precipice, on the cusp of finding a playoff spot late here.
Yes, he absolutely can seize his spot here. I was going to precisely mention him now because you see Top Racing, you see James and Joseph. These guys are already locked in for the playoffs. Maya Proto definitely seizing and feeling that this is his chance as we're going to be moving into a very tricky zone here. But the 3 guys that you see on the screen now do a very good job from turns 8 and 9 and now 10, 11 as well. Whoa! We have a spin by him. Oh my God, Joseph totally out of combat here.
Joseph goes sideways on the racetrack, and now the door has slammed the opposite way. It's not close anymore. Mile has now found their way into a playoff clinching spot, and look at the time being gained. They don't want P3. They don't want the playoffs. They want to make a statement at the hands of James. This right here should be a beautiful fight to the end. We thought it was going to be Top Racing and No Need Dude. We thought it was going to be Hardware and James. We thought it was going to be Joseph, Hardware, and James, but everything has been completely shafted in this race, and now Mile, as long as they don't crash this car, maybe it could even end up as high as P2, but already has a playoff spot secured if they come across the line at P3 or higher.
Mile Proto, his best in the season was Spa-Francorchamps GP, P6 in that occasion. And now updating those numbers, updating those expectations on what else he can do until the end of the season. He's chasing, he's hot on the tail versus James. What a fantastic job surviving to the snaking ass bands at this point. It's going to be great to see this balance. He's got to be very, very cautious as well, DJ. Seizing the moment, being good but reliable but fast as well is going to be his challenge to the end.
Mile started this race at P8 between Squeaky Hardware, Seagull, and James. So not only has Mile survived the Bermuda Triangle of our entire series here in the Formula Semi Sports Cup, they are now on the edge of taking P2 away from James, which would be James' highest placement of the entire season as well. So as we get into the almost final lap here, as we're almost wrapping up Sector 3. I mean, Top Racing looks to be confirmed, but the grid seems to only be getting closer. But in the meantime, here comes the move from Mile, faking down the inside. We'll try to stick it down the outside, catching some grass, but we'll catch the pavement. This is dangerous to be catching the side here. Here comes the switchback. It'll be slightly outside from James, but we'll still keep the car at least with good pace and good control. Neither driver has a lot of battery left, and very dangerous lines coming out as well. One more lap. Who will take P2?
Let's see what is going to happen, and I love the movements and decisions by Mile Proto. Behaving like Max Verstappen, going wide, going wild as well. You know, trying the best he can to seize the P2. He knows it's his day, it's his night, and he's going to go potentially 4 more, as there's absolutely almost no time gap between them. As you can tell, some tenths, and now James, you know, solidifying himself as the biggest defender, the most talented defending driver we have in the season so far, DJ.
Mile once again trying to make a run here, but you've got to be careful about how much of that battery down at the bottom of your screen, how much of it can you save for the end. You see a blinking light at James. That means they have less than, I believe, 10% battery left, but that light will fade away. No Need Dude also has just set the fastest lap of the entire GP on hard tires, so a little bit of ego there, but as these drivers make their way into Sector 3 lane, it can't get any closer than this.
Can't get any closer. Let's see what else is gonna be happening, because Joseph still has potentially a 1 second as a difference to Mario Proto, so anything indeed can happen, as we're gonna be seeing Mario Proto trying to chase James till the end, and Top Race is gonna be definitely, closing rough in this one.
Top Racing, we catch the onboard at the end of a return to glory from our very first champion to now the last champion of the regular season. It's a beautiful drive through the chaos, but let's jump right back into it, because James and Mile are side by side going into the final turn. Here they come across the line. Mile has done it! He's found his way into P2 and a guaranteed playoff spot. James, Joseph, Hardware, after 24K King's penalty, will find their way into the top 5 spots. Doe Jr. a career high in P8, Saturn a career high in P7, I believe, Sater a career high, Evan another career high. What an incredible GP, and what an incredible finish for Mile Proto.
Never give up. That's what Mario Proto is going to be telling us. Never give up. Believe on yourself until the end. This guy, he just, arose so much the occasion. He was the best when it comes to recovery, as we see the final checkered flag, and already into cameras. All the excitement's here. I cannot hide myself anymore, guys.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What an incredible race, and the most deserving driver of the day that I have seen all season here in the Formula STEM Esports Cup. Mile Proto is officially the 10th driver out of the entire grid to find a clinched playoff spot. And what a drive from the kid, and what a GP lane.
Oh my God, I'm so happy for him. He fought so much all over the season. He came improving his times as well. We have to remember that he had some instabilities, for instance, in the Brazilian GP, finishing just at the 12th position, after that recovering into a P6 into Spa, and after a tough Silverstone, he made it into the playoffs. So very well deserved, and that goes to show that our predictions were in the right direction here, TJ, because he was one of the guys we mentioned. It could happen to either Reinforced Seagull, Mao, or Saturn, but it was a Mario Proto's time.
I can't believe it. And now I would love to welcome Bear back into the booth. I mean, just when we thought that Silverstone had our closest gaps, just when we thought all of the races got better and better and better, we get our first complete showing of pure dominance across the entire top 10. I am appalled at the skill level of these drivers from day one to now, and Mile Proto especially. What a drive, Bear.
Guys, as you saw a little bit earlier, I had to go ahead and get a head start up to the booth to join you guys for an incredible moment. I mean, that was just absolutely spectacular from Mile Proto, who I got to talk to in the preseason, and just being able to join late. He was so thankful for that opportunity. And opportunistic is exactly the right word for this kid. I mean, yeah, you catch a break with the safety car. You get one of those top 5 spots. I think it was top 6, actually. So still had to work his way up from there to a second spot against some of the best. Definitely a huge story. Plus, Top Race be able to work his way back up on top 2. We said, can he hold off No Need Dude? Well, an unfortunate ending for No Need Dude, but Top Racing was there from the get-go, was able to take his advantage after the safety car and kind of ride it on home. So, TJ, it was just a fantastic job from every single racer here today to dig deep when collisions were on, to not be nervous, instead race at their absolute best to put on a show here at Suzuka, which is typical of this track overall.
I mean, career best for almost the entire grid, at least in the top 10. Also, Akaruki P12, I believe career high for them since the preseason. Also, Saipo Trey, somebody that Lane touched on earlier, finding their way into P13. And every single one of those drivers finished above No Need Dude. So, regardless of if it's your best or your worst, you did beat No Need Dude. Now, granted, you needed some help from maybe a slightly egregious James Joseph hardware combination, but you'll take what you can get. And that right there was about the most fitting end to the regular season I think we could have even drawn up. No script can match that, Bear.
Not at all. In fact, we have to kind of witness the next script as it takes place. AKA the cinema that is going to take place. The championship on the line next week, Lane. What did you see this week? I mean, it was quite chaotic, but it's been that way all season long. It's the one who can fight the chaos the best that'll come up on top.
Man, oh man, Suzuka GP just showing that you don't need rain weather to have chaos. You can have that on a very clean, beautiful, dry weather as well. And of course, very interesting lesson of defending driving by James in most of the last portion of the track, and also attacking lessons by Mario Proto. So I'm super excited. I think Mario Proto was that piece of the cake that was missing, right? He was that, that interesting strawberry that we can add to a cake to make it even better. It's going to be beautiful. I love it.
The whipped cream on top, if you will. It goes miles ahead, if you will. So Mario Proto with a second place finish and was looking good in the process, too. It's not like he was just like fighting him off, just in a sense of being aggressive, which we've known for a lot of the pack to tend to do. Squeaky Hardware, potentially part of that conversation. Still landed a P5 for him. Joseph dug out of the grave, it seemed like, in this one. Had some issues a little bit earlier and able to get that P4 spot as well. So, guys, just another incredible week. And we got to shout out and say thank you to Brightspeed for making it happen. And tell you one more time that new Brightspeed fiber internet is indeed here. Yes, guys, it's the ultra-fast internet you've been waiting for. Now everyone in your home can stream, they can game, they can do more, all at the same time. Brightspeed technicians will ensure your fiber internet works all over your house so that you can too. No more searching for that one spot in your house to take your video call. No. Don't settle for slow and unreliable anymore. Switch to Brightspeed today at go.staypluggedin.gg/BrightspeedApril. Limited availability in selected areas. Well, Mario Proto did not settle for slow and unreliable, guys. He was up there at the top of the list here. And we'll see some big performers at the Stay Plugged In showcase as well, by the way. So I got to give a shout out to Stay Plugged In on the top of things as well. So that'll be May 10th, May 11th. That's this Saturday and Sunday if you're tracking it. So once again, it'll be Rocket League and Overwatch 2 on that Saturday, Valorant and Super Smash Bros. On Sunday. So we're geared up for some action, whether it be that weekend, which you can go to staypluggedin.com/events to register for. So get registered for that. But then next week, we have the championship event as well. So TJ, in preparation, we'll talk about certain things too. So staypluggedin.com, racing.staypluggedin.com. To get things going here for you. This Formula STEM Esports Cup has been absolutely spectacular. Just quickly, we'll discuss it more on the championship side of things when Championship Tuesday, I guess it is, comes about. But TJ, what is your quick recap of the regular season in your eyes?
Oh, man. You can't put it into words, Bear. I can't even begin to imagine the millions of dollars of damages to these cars that we have put throughout the regular season, not to mention the preseason as well. Every race continues to deliver movie-style endings. It is not something I've seen replicated in a high school esport ever in my time casting or playing or anything in this field. Even collegiate esports, I haven't seen this level of competition and drama at the end. So I am just so thrilled, so happy to be a part of this series. And now everybody gets a clean slate. You've got to get ready for the championship. And again, I said this last week, if you are not putting in your laps on our next track, you need to be doing it right now.
Yeah, that's right. And, of course, preparation, the key to success. Lane, what are you looking most forward to when it comes to Championship Tuesday?
Man, the season was amazing, and I have to just point that it was such an opportunity for the drivers to learn in different scenarios. Quickly mentioning that we had different moments in the season as well. Austria and Monza were kind of similar. We had Brazil as a division point, if you want, and after that, different occasions as well, as much for the guys to improve. So I'm super excited for the playoffs. I think it's going to be very special to see the consolidation of all these moments that we're mentioning here. And I want to see if the top drivers are going to be really showing that they are the top drivers. They can really fight for the title in the season, or if they're going to be beaten by a potential newcomer after this very interesting Suzuka GP, which was a rite of passage. Let's put it this way.
You will see those top drivers again. That'll be next Tuesday. We have a special pre-show. It'll be a little bit of an extended one that starts at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on race day, so make sure you're tuned in for that on Tuesday. And of course, the test session will bring in one of our pro drivers once more to tackle the Las Vegas Strip, and a great opportunity for those drivers to get that experience that they've been looking for. That wraps up the regular season here on the Formula Sim Esports Cup for Lane, for TJ, and Bear Lights. We will see you next week. Take care, guys.
Ah, come on. Come on. Before I switched to Brightspeed fiber internet, things like slow speeds and random dead spots really brought out the troll in me. I mean, I spent hours causing trouble. But then I switched to Brightspeed's fast, reliable fiber internet, and the rest is sunshine and unicorns. Looks amazing, Barbara.
Ultra-fast, Brightspeed fiber internet. Switch to the bright side.
You